story, E Lin? The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger may not be everyone's cup of tea. However, there is a reason that this novel is still studied by high school students decades after it was published. Salinger perfectly captures the adolescent voice of the main character, Holden Caulfield, and his journey of self-discovery. If 250,000 copies are sold per year, and over 65 million copies have been sold in total, how can it be justified as not relevant? Although several concepts in this classic novel are outdated, its themes and subject matter are synonymous with adolescence today, regardless of the time and place, allowing the novel to still be relevant in the 21st century. Salinger creates this impression for the readers of Holden's struggle to find his identity as a main theme in this novel. At times, whenever Holden tries to act more mature than he really is, his youthfulness and immaturity is what actually comes through. This is evident in the chapter where he makes the sudden decision to hire a prostitute. "Hey, is she good looking?" I asked him. "I don't want any old bag." Salinger's word choice of "any old bag" supports Holden's apparent confidence in the situation. It supports his decision that the average teenager would not make and portrays him to seem sure of himself. However, this is overlooked when he loses his confidence and his immaturity and true adolescent self emerges. "Don't you feel like talking for a while?" is what Holden says. This question he asks is odd for him after acting all sure of himself and ordering a prostitute. Salinger makes this turning point to reveal that Holden doesn't know who he identifies as in this world. The concept of a teenager did not exist in 1951, the date of publication, which creates a very dated perspective. However, despite the unlikely situation of hiring a prostitute in the 21st century as a teenager, most teenagers will be able to relate to Holden's viewpoint. There is a lot of expectation in this generation when it comes to what the norm is. Thus, finding who you are can be difficult. In our journey of self-discovery, we often experiment with ideas that can be good or bad, but nonetheless, it is a part of finding ourselves. Les Parrott, PhD, a professor of psychology at Seattle Pacific University, offers reasoning in which teens demonstrate their struggles with identity. Teens often feel that appearing mature will bring recognition and acceptance. They begin engaging in practices they associate with adulthood, taboo pleasures, such as smoking, drinking, drugs, and sexual activity. Even though Holden shows the occasional attempt at acting like an adult, Holden has a fear of the adult world and the phoniness that surrounds it. He recognizes the innocence that children carry around and wants to protect that from the counterfeit of adulthood. In the novel, his attitude towards this is shown in his longing to be the catcher in the rye. I keep picturing all these little kids playing some game in this big field of rye and all. Thousands of little kids, and nobody's around. Nobody big, except me. And I'm standing on the edge of some crazy cliff. What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. If they're running out from somewhere, and catch them. Salinger uses the cliff to symbolize the barrier of a child's innocence from the artificiality of the adult world. We can interpret this as Holden's disgust and fear of the phoniness of adulthood, as Holden wants to catch the children before they lose their innocence and gain knowledge of the adult world. Holden's preoccupation with protecting a child's innocence is emphasized when he sees profane graffiti in the school. I thought how Phoebe and all the other little kids would see it, and how they'd wonder what the hell it meant, and then finally some dirty kid would tell them, all cockeyed naturally, what it meant and how they'd think about it, and maybe even worry about it for a couple of days. His obsession with the profanity is notable, for it shows his distaste for anything that may corrupt the innocence of children. Holden wishes to shelter children from any adult experiences, revealing his own fear of maturity. Still to this day, childhood is interpreted as a worry-free and innocent time period. Becoming an adult can sound daunting when it is usually associated with responsibility, independence, and duties that children are ignorant of. In 2015, a 14-year-old boy in Mexico was so afraid of becoming an adult that he became the real-life Peter Pan and went as far as to eat less as he found out that nutrients in food help you grow. He spoke in a high voice and adopted an arched posture to appear shorter. Holden Caulfield is a character who contradicts himself as he wants to maintain his innocence, but at the same time, he tries to do things that adults would do, such as drinking, smoking, and hiring a prostitute. This reflects in adolescents today and how they feel caught between the two stages of childhood and adulthood. Holden didn't know what he wanted in life, but neither do teenagers necessarily today. Salinger creates this character who isn't perfect, who has everyday struggles that all teenagers do and tries his best to navigate this journey of growing up. J.D. Salinger perfectly captures the adolescent voice in The Catcher in the Rye, as his themes and subject matters still relate to teenagers today. Holden Caulfield represents most 21st century teenagers in his journey of self-discovery and his fear of the adult world. Although this novel is outdated and there was no such thing as a teen in 1951, this novel can relate to teenagers' understandings, which is why it is still studied by high school students today.